Well, a happy St. Patty's Day to all of you as you watch this third Lenten homily here. This is Father Francis back with you, and I'm here in my old pub here in Bellicus Angel. So, Sean Rigor, and happy St. Patty's Day. Well, this third Sunday in Lent homily, we focus on, actually kind of has a lot to do with drinking in some ways, as a drinking theme, if you will. And what do I mean? Well, we read in the first reading that the people thirsted for water in the desert. Later, in the Gospel, Jesus is going to encounter the woman at the well, and ironically, the one who is the true fountain of life is going to ask for a drink of water from the well. And this is very interesting because, you know, we talk about thirst. What does it mean to be thirsty? I know on many military adventures that I've had, being in places like 29 Palms where it was 120 degrees in the shade. Ooh, boy, let me tell you, pretty frosty out there. And, your drinking water is a wonderful 89 or 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Talk about delicious water, that really quenches the thirst. Not. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you've been on a long journey and, you just can't find any water. You're driving along the freeway on a trip, in the middle of summer. And you think the next stop in the road is maybe a few miles down the road, only to find out that it's maybe 100 miles down the road. So, you begin to get really thirsty, And it's an interesting thing about thirst, Now, some people will swear to you that there's nothing better on a hot day than a real tall brewski, ice cold brewski. Well, to some extent, there is some truth to that. But really the thing that I think satisfies thirst, really more than anything, is ice cold water. Can you just see it, sweating down the glass, on a hot day? Maybe a little touch of lemon, perhaps, might go down with it, really make it go down a little bit better too. But again, nothing better than ice cold water on a hot summer day. And that's what refreshes us. That's what really regenerates life. Soda pops and beer and other spirits, they might taste good and they might in some ways make you feel a little bit better for a while, but the bottom line is that they don't truly satisfy thirst. Not the way a good cold glass of ice water will do. And that's, I think, the message in the season of Lent, is that hopefully we take time out to, reflect upon the things that really satisfy in the long run. To be sure, there are things, to be sure, there are things that may satisfy in a temporary way, but when you think about something long term that has really good benefits for you down the road, as well as at the watering hole, you begin to look and say, well, what are my choices? Hopefully in Lent you've had a chance to maybe think about some of the positive choices that you get a chance to do in your life. God kind of, in His own time, shows up on your doorstep, and metaphorically speaking in some ways, spiritually, and offers you certain opportunities. Now, some of those opportunities you may not think are opportunities at the time, but when you look back on them, you say, that was an opportunity. I had an opportunity to either grow, whether it's in my understanding or my character or in my faith, or I had an opportunity to grow by helping others, an opportunity to grow by maybe doing something that I normally don't do that's kind of scary, challenging. Many people who go to boot camp in the military, they look back on it and they say, it was most of them wouldn't want to go back through it again, but they look back on it with a great deal of satisfaction and pride and realize that it was a real learning experience, not so much about learning about military things, but about themselves as a person. When the going got tough, the tough get going. That's the old saying that I remember. And you challenge your mettle by finding out what you're made of in the hard times, not the easy times. And Lent in some ways is like that. So getting back to our readings, we see that the people in the desert, they're being challenged. They're, on one hand, they want freedom, but freedom has a price. A lot of people today don't know that, or else they have forgotten it. They wither quickly in the heat of the sun, and then they grow dissatisfied with the fact that now they're being tested, and it's an arduous test. So they're out in the middle of the desert, and instead of truly having faith, really, again, realizing what God has done, they saw the plagues that God visited on Egypt. They saw the mighty hand of God, and yet, when they saw that, very shortly after, they forgot about it. And here they are needing to trust God totally, and God is going to meet their needs. He's not going to lead them out in the desert to die. And so, of course, God does provide water, but He takes names. He kind of writes down a few of these grumblers and complainers. My friends, we all, I think, grumble and complain. We can fall into that trap very easily. I know I can. Did this past week at work. But the reality is that you got to trust. We have to trust God, and when we do that, He does actually more than exceed our expectations. Jesus comes to the well, and it's interesting because He encounters this woman who has a little bit of a moral dilemma, being married more than 5 times, and I guess the man she's with now is not her husband. And Jesus kind of very politely points this fact out to her. And like so many people, they try to, again, avoid the problem, ignore the problem, and talk about other things that have really no bearing. And of course, Jesus goes on to correct that. But the bottom line is He tells her that if you knew who asked you for a drink, you would be asking Him instead for a drink. A drink of life-giving, truly refreshing water. Well, my friends, now I hope that helps a little bit there on your Lenten reflections. And so here's looking at you on St. Patty's Day. God bless now.